Good evening, viewers. So today we will going to discuss about caste, class, gender, tribe. Okay. So first we will discuss about caste. What is caste? Okay. As you already know, okay, that in Indian society there is a very much practices of casteism. Okay. So what is caste? Okay. Caste, any of the ranked hereditary or endogenous social groups, okay, often linked with occupations that together constitutes traditional society in South Asia, particularly among Hindu in India. Okay, although sometimes used to design or designated similar group in other societies. Okay, so the caste system is uniquely developed in Hindu societies. Okay, so, use of the term caste to characterize social organizations in South Asia, okay, particularly among the Hindus, dates to the middle of the 16th century. Okay, so caste is derived from the Latin word castus. Okay, that means casti. Okay, in the sense a purity of bread was employed by Protagoras observers to describe the divisions of Hindu society in Western and Southern India. Okay, into socially ranked occupations categories in an effort to maintain vertical social distances. These groups practice mutual exclusions in matters relating to eating and presumably that means there is a very huge differences between their marital status and their eating styles, their lifestyle, their cultural style. Okay, so subsequently caste, okay, become established in English and major European languages, okay, in the same. Okay, that means casteism is a thing that is not only practiced in India. Its practices we can found in different parts of the world. Okay, so caste is generally believed to be an ancient, abiding, and unique Indian institutions upheld by a complex cultural identity ideology. Okay, so sometimes it compare with Varna systems also. Okay, as Manu described that there are four categories of Varna. Okay, that is Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. So, what is Varna? It is a essential to distinguish between large scale and small scale view of caste society. Okay, which may respectively be said to present theory and practice, okay, or ideology and the existing social reality on the large scale. Contemporary student of Hindu society recall an ancient fourfold arrangements of socio-economic categories called the Varnas, okay, which is traced back to an oral tradition preserved in the Rig Veda. Okay, that means it's a system which is practiced from the Rig Veda period. Okay, so the Sanskrit word Varna has many connotations. Okay, including color, description, selections, and classifications. Okay, so according to casteism, according to caste wise, they also decide their occupations. Okay, so Indo-European speaking people migrated probably about 150 BC to northern western India. Okay, since the mid 19th century, some scholars have identified these migrants as Aryans. These terms derive from the Sanskrit word Arya. Okay, so it is found from the Rig Veda. Okay, some scholar postulated that these alleged Aryans encountered to conquer the indigenous people whom they called the okay, or the fact that Varna may mean color has led some scholars to posit that these so-called Aryans and the Dyas alleged to have been light skin, okay, and dark skin, okay, respectively, may have been antagonist ethnic group divided by physical features as well as by cultural and language. Okay, so there is a practice of what is binary system. That means in the British period, there is a practices of that India. They call Indians are black people. Okay, black skin people, and they are the white skin people. So that is also one kind of practice of binary systems. Okay, so since the mid 20th century, however, some scholars have pointed to textual evidence that the distinction referred to ritual practices and not to skin color. Okay, further, the term Arya may have been a term for nobility rather than an ethical self-identifications. Okay. In addition, it is also likely that the include earlier immigrants from Aryan. Okay, so therefore, the tendency of some 20th century writers to reduce the ancient bipolar classifications to racial differences on the basis of skin color is misleading and rightly no longer in work. Okay, so whatever the relations between the so-called Arya and the it is likely that they gradually become integrated into an internally plural social order. Okay, reflecting a threefold divisions of society into priests, warriors, and commoners. Okay, so in an early period, membership in a Varna appears to have been based mainly on personal skill rather than birth status or wealth. Okay, so by the end of the Rig Veda, however, the hereditary principles of social rank had taken root. Okay, so thus the theme of the Rig Veda, a late addition to the in which the creations of humanity in the form of Varna emerges from a self-sacrifice rite of the primeval persons. Okay, so Brahmins were the mouth of the Prusas. Okay, they compare that Brahmins were came from the mouth of the god. Okay, so from his arms were made the Kshatriya. Okay, so from the arms of the god, Kshatriyas were made. Okay, this is one kind of belief. Okay, so from his two thigh and from the thigh of God, the Vaishyas are made. Okay, and Sudras are from his feet. Okay, so the extent to which the ideology hierarchical order of the four groups, okay, minored, okay, four group minored, that means they describe caste system is a that is one kind of they compare that God created each and every human beings, and from the mouth of God, Brahmins they were came from mouth of God, and from the thigh Kshatriyas were came. Okay, and from from the arms Kshatriyas were came, and from thighs Vaishyas were came, and from the feet Sudras were came. So in this way they were categorized. Okay, so these categories cannot find from the not find from now. This is the categories which is found from the very past. Okay, so in this way caste system can be categorized. Okay, so one more distinctions between caste system is clearly rank below the two top categories where the vices comprising agricultural and merchants. That means okay, that means the rituals or the work of the government that they always that means they offer puja to God. Okay, but Kshatriyas, their responsibility is they always protect the country. Okay, and Vaishyas, their work is that they are.
Sorry, ma'am. मैम आपनको ऑडियो म्यूट ହେଇଯାଇଛି।
Okay. Hello. Now
Yes.
it's having.
Ah, yes, ma'am. Asuji.
Okay. So again, I will again repeat the sentences that the work that sorry, casteism is divided into four categories. That is Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. And according to their caste, their occupation can be divided. Okay, so the occupation can be divided in a rank wise. Okay, so certain degrading occupations such as disposal of dead animals, excludence of some sudras from any physical contact with the twice born. That is, there is one kind of illegal practices in the and that in that period. Okay, that means versus sudras were categorized like it, that they are the untouchables. Okay, nobody can touch them. Okay, nobody can touch the nobody can allow them to enter in the temple to take water from the same well. Okay, so in this type of system were practiced in that period. Okay, so they are considered like untouchables. They were simply dubbed the fifth or category. That means they are the they are the low categories of people. Okay, so in the Varna framework, the Brahmins have everything. That means what are the facilities in that period can be available, that can be only for the Brahmins categories and for only Kshatriya categories peoples. Okay, they enjoy the exclusive or they enjoy the vital freedom. Okay, so in the Varna framework, the Brahmins have everything directly or indirectly, noble identity. Okay, that means whatever the facilities in that time available, they can be the Brahmins can be avail that things very easily. Okay, so twice born status, they were the sectoral authorities. That means they are compared like a sacred. Okay, that means they are totally pure. Okay, and Sudras, they categorize like they are the impure caste. Okay, so the dominant over the Vaisyas and the Sudras, who account for the great majority of the people. So this is not surprising, for the ancient Brahmins were the authors of the ideology. The four Varnas, together with the notional divisions of the individual life cycle into four stages. Okay, the years of learning and extreme discipline. Okay, so the Hindu, the way of the way of life of the Hindu, traditionally called the traditionally that is one kind of what one kind of injustice happened with them. Okay, so these are the all about caste system. Okay, which is very strictly practiced from the Manu period, and it is not the questions of only the questions of only India. It's the questions of all over the world. But now the importance of caste systems is reduced to some extent. Okay, so now we discuss about our class systems. Okay, so what is class systems? Just a minute. Hello. Ah, okay. Now we'll discuss about caste system. What is class system? The class system is a system of stratifications of society on the basis of education, property, business, work, etc. Okay. Sociology as a subject deals with the caste system and provide definitions and understanding of the subject of class in society. Okay, so one important quotations of Karl Marx. Okay, that means Karl Marx. He always as I already discussed in previous classes, that Karl Marx is a totally against of any type of class. Okay, during that period, there is the existence of two classes. That is, one class is proletariat classes and another is bourgeoisie classes. Okay, and in that period, always what class struggle is found between the two classes. That is because the bourgeoisie classes always exploit the proletariat classes. Okay, so this is the one kind of distinction in the period of Karl Marx. Okay, so the common basis of divisions of classes are, there are three types of common divisions. Classes can be
Can
divided.
you ma'am tell me about Karl Marx something?
Oh, okay, Karl Marx. Karl Marx, you know about Karl Marx. Karl Marx, that according to Karl Marx, he divided class system into two categories. Okay, one is proletariat classes and another is bourgeoisie classes. Okay, in that period, class can be divided into two categories. One is rich categories classes and another is poor categories classes. The rich sections, they call that they are the bourgeoisie categories classes, and the poor sections, they are the proletariat group of classes. Okay, so there is a always struggle between the two groups of classes. Okay, so Karl Marx says that there is a totally abolition of class systems. Okay, so that no one can exploit other group of sections of people. Okay, so in that period, bourgeoisie classes always exploit the proletariat classes. Okay, so according to him, that class must be abolished. Okay, so according to and one more one important definitions of Karl Marx, you may be note down that things very important. That is, man is a class animal. Okay, man is a class animal. That is, his status, his age, education, etc. are not same in the society. One important definitions of Karl Marx. Okay, once again I repeat, man is a class animal. That is, his status, age, education, etc. are not same in the society. Okay, so now we'll discuss some common basis of divisions of classes. Okay, what are the divisions? First one is property. According to property and division, and property is divided between the capitalist and the poor. That means the haves and the have not. Okay. Then second one is educations. Educations is between literate and illiterate. Okay. Then next one is business occupations. These are the class distinctions which is prevail in recent situations. Okay, in recent way, this where classes can be categorized. One is property, which one thing is deal with property. Property, that means one is haves and another is have nots. Okay, then second one is education. Educations between literate and illiterate, and third one is business or occupations. That is related to farmer, any clerical officers, or industrialists, etc. Okay, so in general, class consciousness is a must in the class. Okay, so there must be the we feeling. Okay, so the cadre of the group given by summer is found in the class systems. Okay, class system, that means they which type of they indicate themselves that I belongs to from this category. Okay, I belongs to from these sections of the category. Okay, in this way, there is a questions of I. Okay, so identify oneself in a particular group or family is the key. Okay, the behavior of a person is fixed due to their class consciousness. Okay, trade union is a result of class consciousness. There is feeling of superiority and inferiority. Okay, and in the class system, then the higher has the feeling superiority and the lower classes feels inferior. Okay, in this classes too, there is sub class or upper class. Okay, and one more existence of new classes, that is middle class. Okay, and the lower sections. Okay, so in these classes too, there is a sub class as upper class, upper open classes, then middle upper classes, then lower upper classes. Okay, then lower middle classes and the middle classes, and upper lower middle classes. Then middle, that means that is one kind of mixture types of class is found. Okay, then class is open in character because it is based on a variety of things like age, sex, etc. Okay, also can change once less easily. Okay, the people of lower class may either the upper class, or those of the upper class may become member of the lower classes. Okay, so some important definitions of class systems, you may be note down. The first one is PG's iceberg. Okay, so a social class is a category or group of persons having definite status in society, which permanently determines their relations to other group. Okay, that is one kind of feeling of superiority and inferiority. Okay, the relative positions of the class in the social scale arises from the degree of prestige attached to the status. Okay, so this is the one definition. Then another one is Mark Ivar and Page. Okay, according to them, a social class is any portions of community of the form the rest by social status. Okay, and a social class is the aggregate of persons having essentially the same social status in a given society. That is a class consciousness. Okay. Then, according to Max Weber, class are aggregated of individuals who have the same opportunities of acquiring goods. Okay. The same exhibited standard of living. Then, according to Hubble, defines a social class is a group within a society whose members hold a number of distinctive status in common, and who taught the operations of role associated with this status, develop our awareness of the life interest as against the unlike trade and interest of other groups. Okay, so these are the some definitions of class. Okay, so in general, a social class consists of group of individuals who are ranked by the member of the community in socially superior inferior positions. Okay, so some characteristics of class system. Okay, first one is class system is based on occupations, wealth, educations, age, etc. Okay, so next one is hereditary of status group. Okay, in general there are three classes, that is upper, middle, and tower status. Okay, so prestige and role is attached. Okay, upper class are less in number in comparison to the other two. That is means upper class, middle class, and lower class. Okay, so this is like a pyramidal structures. Okay, so next one is feeling of superiority and inferiority. In these three classes, there are such feeling. The upper class people feel they are superior to other two classes. Okay, to whether the lower class feel it's inferior the upper class, and in case of lower classes they always feel inferior. Okay, so the next one is class consciousness. Okay, class consciousness, whatever a class is formed, this feeling is consciousness is a must. Okay, there should be feeling of in group, that is I belongs. Class conflict is due to this. The people of the proletariat class feel the upper class. Okay, exploit they unite revolt. The behavior actions is determined by this class consciousness. Okay, then another characteristic is subclasses. Classes is divided into different groups. Similar to caste system, the class system is divided. That means upper class, upper middle class, upper lower, upper middle lower class, then middle class, middle lower classes, middle upper lower classes. Okay, in this way there is a mixture of classes systems. Then another is class system is an open systems. Okay, so next one is there is social restrictions in these two. Okay, in general there is endogamy in a class. to maintain their status and position, they mix among themselves, and it is seldom that marriage between upper and lower classes is waged. Okay, distinction between caste and class, they are the two phenomena of social stratifications. Okay, so these are the some questions related to, sorry, these are the some characteristics related to class systems. Okay, so this is all about from class systems. Okay, now we will discuss about tribe. What is tribe? One more thing, you maybe note down each and every point, but lastly, if you are unable to understand, you can ask me. Okay.
ମ୍ୟାମ୍ କ୍ଲାସ୍ର ଡେଫିନେସନ୍ ଟିକେ କହିଥାନ୍ତେ।
କ୍ଲାସ୍ର ନିଶ୍ଚୟ ମୁଁ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ କ୍ଲାସ୍ର ଡେଫିନେସନ୍ସଟା ଆଉ ଥରେ କହିଦେବି, କିନ୍ତୁ ତା ପୂର୍ବରୁ ଟ୍ରାଇବ୍ ଆଉ ଜେଣ୍ଡରଟା ପଢ଼ି ଦେଉଛି। ତାପରେ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଯୋଉଟା କ୍ଲାସ୍, କାଷ୍ଟ, ଟ୍ରାଇବ୍, ଜେଣ୍ଡର ସବୁକୁ ନେଇକି ଯାହା ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ୍ ଥିବ ଆପଣ ଜଣେଇବେ, ମୁଁ ସେଟାକୁ ଆଉ ଥରେ ଡିସ୍କସ୍ କରିଦେବି।
ଠିକ୍ ଅଛି।
Just a minute. Okay, so what is tribe? Now we'll discuss about tribe. Tribe is in anthropology a notional form of human social organizations. Okay, based on a set of similar group. Okay, known as brands. Okay, having temporary or permanent political integrations and defined by the traditions of common descent, language, culture, and ideology. Okay, that means they have a common feeling. Okay, that is community feeling. They belongs from same community, same language. Okay, same occupations. That is the one kind of definitions of tribe. Okay, that means the oneness feeling. Okay, so the term originated in ancient Rome, where the word tribus denotes a division within the state. It later came into use as a way to describe the cultures encountered through European explorations. Okay, by the mid 19th century, many anthropologists and other scholars were using the term as well as bands, chief norm, and the state to denote particular stages in unilinear cultural evolutions. Okay, although unilinear cultural evolutions is no longer a credible theory, these terms continue to be used as a sort of technical shorthand of college courses. Okay, democracies and popular references work. In such contexts, members of a tribe are typically said to share a self-name and a continuous territory to work together in such a joint endeavors as trade, agriculture, and house constructions, welfare, and ceremonial activities, and to be composed of a number of similar local communities such as bands or village. In addition, they may be aggregated into higher order cluster such as nations. Okay, so as an anthropological term, the word tribe came out of various in the latter part of the 20th century. Okay, some anthropologists reject the term itself on the ground that it could not be precisely defined. Okay, other object to the negative connotations that the word acquired in the colonial context. Okay, so scholars of Africa in particular feel that it was pejorative. Okay, as well as it is one kind of what injustice. Okay, thus many anthropologists replace it with the designations ethnic group, especially defined as a group of people while a common ancestry and language, a shared culture and historical traditions, and a identified territory. Okay, ethnic group is a particularly appropriate term within the discussions of modernizing countries, where one's identity and claims to land ownership may depend less on extent kinship ties than on one's natal village, origin. Okay, so what this is the some common definitions of tribe. Okay, so the tribe is used as many different contexts to refer to a category of human social group. Okay, the predominant uses of the term is the discipline of anthropology. Okay, the definitions is contested in part due to conflicting theoretical understanding, a social and kinship structures, and also reflecting the problematic applications of this concept to extremely diverse human societies. Okay, the concept is often contrasted by anthropologists with other social and kinship groups. Okay, being hierarchically larger than a linear or clan. Okay, but say, smaller than a chiefdom's nation or smaller than a nation or state. Okay, these terms as equally disputed. In some cases, tribes have legal recognitions and some degree of political autonomy from national or federal government, but these linguistic uses of the term may conflict with the anthropologist definitions. Okay, so we can classify tribe in this way. Consider debate has accompanied efforts to define and characterize tribe in this way, that in the popular immigrations, tribe reflect a primordial social structure from which all subsequent civilization and states develop. Okay, anthropologist Esman Service presented a system of classifications of society in all human cultures based on the evolutions of social inequality and the role of the state. Okay, the system of classification considered four categories. What are the four categories? First one is hunter-gathering bands that are generally egalitarian. Okay, and second one is tribal societies within some limited instances of social rank and prestige. Okay, the next one is stratified tribal society led by chiefdom. Okay, the next one is civilizations with complex social hierarchies and organized institutional government. Okay, so tribes are therefore considered to be a political unit formed from an organizations of families, okay, including clans and lineage, okay, based on a social or ideological solidarity. Okay, membership of a tribe may be understood simplistically as being an identity based on factors such as kinship, okay, ethnicity, language, dwelling places, political group, religious beliefs, oral traditions, and cultural practices. Okay, so according to the explore the development of pre-state tribe, that means tribe concept not develop tribe concept is a this concept can be found from the very primitive societies. Okay, so current research suggested that the tribe structure constituted on one type of adaptations to situation providing plentiful yet unpredictable sources. Okay, such structures provide flexible enough to coordinate productions and distributions of food in time of scarcity, without limiting a constant people during times of surplus. Okay, so present day, what is the situations of present day? Okay, few tribes today remain isolated. Okay, from the development of the modern state systems. What are the development provided by the government of India? Few tribes still they do not get any type of facilities from the government. Okay, so tribes have lost their legitimacy to conduct traditional functions such as leading, delivering justice and defending a territory. Okay, so this with this being replaced by states functions and institutions such as taxations, okay, law, court, and the military. Okay, So most have suffered decline and loss of cultural identity. Some have adapted to the new political context and transformed their culture and practices in order to survive. Other have secured legal rights and protections. Okay, so according to anthropologists, propose that most surviving tribes do not have their origin in pre-state tribes, but rather in pre-state bands. Such secondary tribes, he suggested, develop a modern products of state expansion. Brands comprises small, mobile, and fluid social formations with weak leadership. Okay, they do not generate surplus, pay no taxes. Okay, and support on standing army. Okay, then Fred argued that secondary tribes develop in one of two ways. First, state could set them up a means to extend administrative and economic influences in their heartland. Okay, well, direct political control costs too much. Okay, state would encourage people of their frontiers to form more clearly bounded a centralized policies, because such politics could be being producing surplus and taxes, and would have a leadership responsive to the needs of neighboring states. Okay, so second branch could have some secondary system. Okay, secondary tribes as a means to defend against state expansions. Okay, so these are the present conditions of tribe system. Okay, so now we discuss about gender. What is gender, and in which gender discriminations can be prevail in society. Okay, so gender is the range of pertaining to and differentiated between femininity and masculinity. Okay, and one more important thing is gender discriminations is a sociological concept. Okay, sex discrimination is a biological concept, but gender discrimination is a sociological concept. Okay, so depending on the context, these characteristics may include biological sex and sex-based social structures or gender identity. Okay, as I discussed. Okay, most culture use a gender binary having two genders. Okay, those who exist outside these groups falls under the umbrella term. Okay, some societies have specific gender besides man and woman. Okay, such as they practice one kind of, but the female category, they are the lower sections, and the male category, they are the higher sections. Okay, so these discriminations not a biological discriminations. Okay, are not from came from the nature. Okay, this is one kind of social discriminations. Okay, and it is made by man. Okay, then sexologist John Mooney introduced the terminological distinctions between biological sex and gender as a role in 1955. Okay, so before his work, it was uncommon to use the word gender to refer to anything but grammatical categories. Okay, so however, money's meaning of the word did not become widespread until the 1970s, when feminists they embraced the concept of a distinction between biological sex and social constructions of gender. Okay, today the distinctions is followed in some contexts, especially in the social sciences, and documents written by the World Health Organization, that is WHO. Okay, in other contexts, including some areas of the social sciences, gender includes sex or replaces. Okay, for instance, in non-human animal research, gender is commonly used to refer to the biological sex of the animal. Okay, these changes is in the meaning of gender can be traced to the 1980s. Okay, in 1993, the US Food and Drug Administration started to use gender instead of sex. Okay, so later in 2011, the FDA reserved its positions and began using sex as the biological classifications of gender as the person's self-representations as male or female, or how that person is responded to by social institutions based on the individual gender presentations. Okay, so the social science have a branch devoted to gender status. Other sciences such as sexology and neuroscience are also interested in this subject. Okay, the social sciences sometimes approaches gender as a social construct. Okay, and studies particularly do while research in the natural sciences investigates whether biological differences in females and males influences the development of gender in humans. Okay, both inform debate about how far biological differences influences the informations of gender identity. Okay, in some English literature, there is also trinomial. Okay, between biological sexes, psychological gender, and social gender role. Okay, so the framework first appeared in feminist paper on transsexualism in 1978. Okay, so some historical concept of gender. Okay, we will discuss that is the concept of gender in the modern sense is a recent invention of human history. Okay, the ancient world had no basis of understanding gender as it has been understood in the humanities and social sciences for the past few decades. Okay, the term gender has been associated with grammar for most of history and only started to move towards its being a malleable cultural construct in the 1950 and 1960s. Okay, so sexologist John Mooney introduced the terminological distinctions between biological sex and gender as a role in 1955. Okay, so before his work, it was uncommon to use the word gender to refer to anything but grammatical categories. Okay, for example, in a biography of 12,000 references on marriage and family from 1900 to 1964, the term gender does not even emerge one. Okay, so analysis of more than 30 million academic article titles from 1945 to 2001 shows that the use of the term gender were much rare than uses of sex. Okay, was often used as a grammatical category earlier in this period. Okay, by the end of this period, uses of gender outnumber uses of sex in the social sciences, arts, and humanities. And it was in the 1970s that feminist scholars adopted the term gender as way of distinguishing social constructed aspect of male-female differences from biological determined aspects. Okay, so in the last 2 decades of the 20th century, the use of gender in academic has increased gently, outnumbering uses of sex in the social sciences. With the spread of the word in science, publications can be attributed to the influences of feminism. Its uses as a synonymous for sex is attributed to the failure to grasp the distinctions made in feminist theory, and the distinction has sometimes become blurred with the theory itself. Okay, then David Hang started among the reason that working scientists have given meaning to for choosing gender rather than sex in biological context are desire to signal sympathy with feminist goals, to use a more academic term, or to avoid the connotations of occupations. Okay, so in legal cases alleging discrimination, sex is usually preferred as a determining factor rather than gender, as it refers to biological rather than socially constructed norms which are more open to interpretations of disputes. Okay, so according how gender lead a social role, okay, as a social role, in which ways? According to sexologist John Morley coined the term gender's roles and was the first to use it in print in a scientific trade journal. Okay, in a seminal work 1955 paper, he defined it as all those things that a person says or does to disclose himself or herself as having the status of boy or man, girl or woman. Okay, so the modern academic senses of the word in the context of social roles of man and woman dates at least back to 1945 and was popularized and developed by the feminist movement from the 1970 onwards. Okay, which theorized the human nature is essentially ethnic and social distinction based on sex are arbitrarily constructed. In this context, matters pertaining to this theoretical process of social constructions were labeled matter of gender. Okay, so the popular uses of gender simply as an alternative to sex is also widespread, although attempts are still made to preserve the distinction. The American Heritage Dictionary uses the following two sentences to illustrate the differences. Nothing that the distinctions useful is principle, but it is by no means widely observed, and considerable violation in uses occurs at all levels. So, what are the two distinctions? The effectiveness of the medications appears to depend on the sex of the patient. Okay, the next one is in present societies, gender roles are likely to be more clearly defined. Okay, so in which way, what are the gender roles in current situations? The gender identity refers to a personal identifications with a particular gender and gender role in society. The term woman has historically been used interchangeably with reference to the female body, though more recently these uses have been viewed as conversely by some feminists. Okay, there are qualitative analyses that explore and present the representations of gender. However, feminists challenge these dominant ideologies concern gender roles and biological sex. One, biological sex is directly tied to specific social roles and the expectations. Okay, so categorize wise males and females into social roles creates a problem. Okay, because individuals feel they have to be one end in a linear spectrum and must identify themselves as man or woman. Okay, so rather than being allowed to choose a sections in between, globally, communities interpret biological differences between man and woman to create a set of social expectations. Okay, that define the behavior that are appropriate for man and woman and determine women's and man's differences, access to right resources, power in society and health behavior. Okay, although the specific nature and degree of these differences vary from one society to next. Okay, so they still tend to typically favor man, creating an imbalance in power and gender inequalities within most societies. Okay, so many cultures have different systems of norms and beliefs based on gender, but there is a universal standard of a masculine or feminine role across all culture. Okay, so social roles of man and woman in relation to each other is based on the cultural norms of that society, okay, which lead to a creations of gender system, okay. The gender system is the basis of social pattern in many societies, which include the separations of sexes and the primacy of masculine norms, okay. So these are all about present situations. Then what are the measurement of gender identity? Okay, early gender identity research hypothesized a single bipolar dimensions or masculine femininity with masculinity masculinity with femininity being opposite on one continuum. Okay, assumptions of the undimensional model were challenge as societal stereotype change which lead to the development a two-dimensional gender identity model, okay. In the model, masculinity and femininity were conceptualized as two separate and orthodox dimensions coexisting in varying degree with an individual, okay. So the conceptualizations of femininity and masculinity remains the accepted standards today, okay. So these are all about from gender, okay. So now in a brief way, again I discuss what is caste, what is class, what is tribe, and what is gender, okay. Before I start all the things again, if you have any doubt, then you can ask me the questions. So one by one, I can discuss with you. तारी जोदी किसी प्रॉब्लम होची माने किसी यस कोंतु
मैम मैम जो आपण कहले क्लास रो जो डेफिनेशन टा टिके कहिदिले और
हाँ
प्रॉपर्टी
क्लास
एजुकेशन
हाँ प्रॉपर्टी गोटे अच्छी ताको क्लास सिस्टम को सॉरी ताको तीनटा वे रे कैटेगराइज करा जाउची गोटे प्रॉपर्टी को नेकी हमें क्लास सिस्टम को देखि परिबा क्लास की प्रॉपर्टी आसीबा द्वारा हमर कोन होची सोसाइटी टा हमर दीटा पार्ट्स रे डिवाइड हे गेची जेमिति कि जेते बेले हमर ह्यूमन बीइंग आसी नथिला अकॉर्डिंग टू हॉब्स लॉक्स तांको टाइम रे कि ह्यूमन माने जेते बेले स्टेट आसी नथिला सोसाइटी आसी नथिला सेते बेले कोन थिला लोक माने स्टेट ऑफ नेचर रे रहउथिले तो सेते बेले तांकर कोन थिला से माने जेते इच्छा सेते तांकर प्रॉपर्टी से माने एक्वायर करि पारुथिले माइट इज राइट तांकर रूलिंग प्रिंसिपल थिला किंतु जेते बेले सोसाइटी आसिला स्टेट आसिला ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आसिला सेते बेले कोन हला कि लोक मानक भितरे गोटे देखा गला कि किछि लोक अछंती तांकर बळ प्रयोग करके अधिक प्रॉपर्टी नै जाउछिन तो सो प्रॉपर्टी को नेकी गोटे हमर क्लासेस भितरे डिवीजन देखिया को मिलिला गोटे होउछि रिच सेक्शन रो क्लासेस रिच ग्रुप गोटे होउछि पोर ग्रुप सेटा गोटे हमर गला ताकू नेकी क्लास डिवाइड करा होउछि जोटा गोटे रिच और पोर को नेकी तो रिच पोर को नेकी एई डिफरेंसेस ता हमर कार्ल मार्क्स मेन देथिले तांको टाइम रे कि कार्ल मार्क्स को टाइम रे कोन हेतिला कि सोसाइटी को से टू क्लासेस रे डिवाइड करथिले गोटे थिला प्रोलेटारिएट माने जो गरीब संख्या लोक माने आ गोटे थिला बुर्जुआदिस जोटा थिला धनी माने हैव्स एंड हैव नॉट्स हैव होचंती बुर्जुआदिस कैटेगरी हैव नॉट्स होचंती गरीब कैटेगरी तो तांको भितरे सब बळे प्रॉपर्टी को नेकी गोटे एक्सप्लॉयटेशन चलीथिला माने हैव सब बळे हैव नॉट को एक्सप्लॉइट करूथिले तो सो प्रॉपर्टी को नेकी गोटे सब बळे देखा जायछि कि सोसाइटी रे गोटे क्लास रो माने डिवीजन हेछि सोसाइटी को डिवाइड कराइछि क्लास को नेकी आ गोटे देखा जायछि हमरो एजुकेशन को नेकी तांको भितर गोटे डिफरेंस या देखिया को मिले होछि कि किछि ग्रुप रो लोक अछंती जो माने लिटरेट आ गोटे किछि ग्रुप रो लोक अछन जो माने इलिटरेट तो ताको नेकी एजुकेशन को नेकी मध्य सोसाइटी को जोटा कि एबेरो सिचुएशंस हमें कहउछु कि सोसाइटी एजुकेशन को नेकी भी क्लास वाइज डिवाइड हेछि गोटे लिटरेट ग्रुप रे आ गोटे इलिटरेट ग्रुप रे आ गोटे रहउछि हमर थर्ड टा जोटा होछि बिजनेस एंड ऑक्युपेशन तो बिजनेस ऑक्युपेशंस टा हमें डिफरेंट कैटेगरी रे आसीबा माने जेते कैटेगरी रो हमरो बिजनेस रहिछि जेमति कि हमें फार्मर माने को कहउछु फार्मर ग्रुप ऑफ क्लास तापरे जो माने इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट तांको हम कहउछु इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट ग्रुप ऑफ क्लास जो माने डॉक्टर ग्रुप ऑफ क्लास जो माने इंजीनियर ग्रुप ऑफ क्लास तो ए भलिया ऑक्युपेशंस को कि जेतेटा हमरो ऑक्युपेशंस रहिछि सेते वे रे हमरो कोन कराइछि सोसाइटी टा हमरो सेतिकिटा क्लास रे हमरो डिवाइड हेछि इटा होछि प्रेजेंट सिनारियो
क्लास रो डेफिनेशन टा तले कोन होबा छै କାଲମାର୍କ ତ କହିଥିଲେ ମ୍ୟାନ୍ ଇଜ ଏ କ୍ଲାସ୍ animals।
ନାଇଁ कार्ल मार्क्स अनुसार थिला कि कार्ल मार्क्स को टाइम रे हमर सोसाइटी टा को दीटा क्लास रे से डिवाइड कर देथिले गोटे होची हैव्स गोटे होची हैव नॉट किंतु जदि आमे प्रेजेंट सिनेरियो को देखिबा तो एई डेफिनेशंस गुडा गोटे भी एप्रोप्रिएट हे परिबन केना प्रेजेंट सिनेरियो रे गोटे न्यू क्लास ऐड हेची जोटा होची मिडिल क्लास जोटा कि कार्ल मार्क्स को टाइम रे नथिला कार्ल मार्क्स को टाइम रे थिला कि हैव्स हैव नॉट माने रिच पोर दीटा क्लास ही थिला किंतु एबे जदि हम प्रेजेंट सिनेरियो में देखिबा ताहले हमर तीनटा क्लास रो ग्रुप रो लोक माने रोचंती गोटे होची रिच गोटे होची मिडिल जोटा कि न्यू एंट्री हेची आ गोटे होची पोर क्लासेस रो ग्रुप रो लोक माने सो ए जो हमर डिस्टिंक्शन टा होची ए जो ग्रुप किछटा ग्रुप रे जो हमर डिवाइड होची रिच मिडिल पोर ए जो हमर डिवीजन होची दैट इज वन काइंड ऑफ क्लास डिवीजन कास्ट को नै कि तो जोटा डिस्कस करि सरले कि कास्ट होची कि गोटे तांकर कोन होची कॉमन कॉमन बिलोंगिंग्स रोची कॉमन जेमते कि मनु का टाइम रे से कोन करले क्लास को कास्ट को चारटा वे रे डिवाइड कर देले गोटे हला तांको टाइम से डिस्टिंक्शन चली चली के आसी गोटे होची ब्राह्मण गोटे होची क्षत्रिय गोटे होची वैश्य गोटे शूद्र आ तांको ऑक्युपेशंस तांको कास्ट ऊपर डिपेंड करिवो दैट मींस ब्राह्मण्स तांको काम होची पूजा करिवा सेक्रेट काम करिवा वेद रचना करिवा एगुडा होची ब्राह्मण्स काम तो ब्राह्मण ए काम करिवे क्षत्रिय माने को काम होची केमति से माने स्टेट को बा तांको राज्य को से माने प्रोटेक्शन प्रोवाइड करिवे तो तांको काम से करिवे तो राजा को पुओ राजा हबे ब्राह्मण को पुओ ब्राह्मण हबे तो तांकर जो कास्ट को नेकी तांकर ऑक्युपेशंस रा भी डिसाइड होतला तो अकॉर्डिंग टू आ सेही सिस्टम्स एबे पर्यंत किछिटा हमको देखिया को मिले आमे मैक्सिमम जगह देखु छु गोटे जने जदी तांको बापा जदी टीचर अछन तांको पुओ भी टीचर किछि सम एक्सटेंट रे सेटा अलगा ही जाउछि किंतु मैक्सिमम जगह रे सेंती हमें एबे भी देख गोटे फार्मर तांको पुओ भी गोटे फार्मर होछि मैक्सिमम जगह रे हमें सेटा एबे भी हमें किछिटा जगह रे हमें सेटा देखिया को पाउछु दैट इज ऐसे ही वे से कोन कहछि माने सोसाइटी को केमिति कैटेगराइज कराइछि सोसाइटी को गोटे कास्ट को नेकी कैटेगराइज कराइछि गोटे क्लास को नेकी कैटेगराइज कराइछि गोटे जेंडर को नेकी जोटा कि न्यू कांसेप्ट जेंडर को नेकी गोटे मेल और फीमेल भितर जो कैटेगराइज करा जाइछि तो जेंडर डिस्क्रिमिनेशंस ता हमें बायोलॉजिकल बोली कि कहि परिबानी जेंडर डिस्क्रिमिनेशंस होछि हमर सोशियोलॉजिकल कांसेप्ट मान दैट मींस समस्त कहउछन्ते लेडीज फास्ट तो एटा को बायोलॉजिकल कांसेप्ट नु लेडीज फास्ट जो हमर कांसेप्ट यूज करा होछि दैट मींस दे आर कंपेयर लेडीज विथ द वीकर सेक्शंस ऑफ द पीपल दैट्स व्हाई सेति पाई से माने सब बेले कहउछन्ते लेडीज फास्ट ए जो दिन सगुडा हमर रहउछि एगुडा होछि दैट इज वन काइंड ऑफ जेंडर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन व्हिच इज ए सोसाइटल क्रिएशंस आउ ताकू कोन करा जाउछि धीरे धीरे केमिति एलिमिनेशन करा जिवो एवं तांको भितर केमिति इक्वालिटी एस्टैब्लिश करा जिवो तार सब चेष्टा रे गवर्नमेंट ताकू इक्वालिटी देबा पई जेमति कि हमर आर्टिकल 16 रे रहिछि आर्टिकल 14 रे रहिछि केमिति तांको भितर जेमति इक्वालिटी वी फॉलो आर्टिकल 14 रु 18 रे सेटा डिस्क्राइब कराइछि केमिति तांको भितर हमर इक्वालिटी एस्टैब्लिश करछि अपॉर्चुनिटी क्षेत्र रे हो कि कोनोसी जॉब क्षेत्र रे हो कि कोनोसी एजुकेशन क्षेत्र रे हो तो ए डिस्क्रिमिनेशन जेंडर डिस्क्रिमिनेशंस ताकू केमिति माने रोका जाय परिवो जोटा कि फेमिनिस्ट माने फास्ट स्टार्ट करथिले आ गोटे कांसेप्ट मु बतेली ट्राइब कथा कहली ट्राइब तांको भितर ट्राइब मींस होची कि गोटे कॉमन ग्रुप ऑफ पीपल तांको भितर कॉमन फीलिंग्स रहउची कॉमन लैंग्वेज रे से माने कथा होचंदी कॉमन लाइफस्टाइल कॉमन खाइबा पीबा सब कुछ तांकर कॉमन रहउची जोटा कि एबे रो सिचुएशन जोटा कि हमर प्री कम्युनिटी कम्युनिज्म टाइमिंग सेटा कंटिन्यू हे कि आसुची एवं सेटा को हमें एथि पई एथि डिस्कस करा जाउची कि सोसाइटी रे तांकर कोन ये रहउची कि एबे भी बहुत सारा ट्राइबल ग्रुप ऑफ पीपल अछंती जो माने को ए पर्यंत गवर्नमेंट रो फैसिलिटी तांको पाखु को पहुंची पानी तो से माने को केमिति डेवलपमेंट हेई पारिबो तो तांको हमें केमितिया गोटे ग्रुप रो लोअर सेक्शंस ग्रुप ऑफ पीपल न कहि कि तांको केमितिया हमें इक्वालिटी देई परिबा सोसाइटी रे तांकर भी केमिति तांको को भी केमिति एस्टैब्लिश करा जाय परिबो तांकर भी केमितिया डेवलपमेंट हबो तो सेही कांसेप्ट तो हमरो माने मेन सोसाइटी रो प्रोग्रेस ए चारटा जिंस सबले बाधा दिए गोटे होची कास्टिज्म जदि ह्यूज कास्टिज्म फीलिंग्स रहिबो को भी सोसाइटी रे से सोसाइटी डेवलप करि परिबो नाही तो आ गोटे होची क्लास डिस्टिंक्शन ताकू भी कोन करिया को पड़िबो क्लास ताकू इक्वालिटी एस्टैब्लिश करिया को पड़िबो जेंडर डिस्क्रिमिनेशंस एंड ट्राइब एगुडा को हमको भितरे कोन करिया को पड़िबो इक्वालिटी एस्टैब्लिश करा गले ही गोटे सोसाइटी फुल्ली डेवलप हेई परिबो तो एति की होची हमर क्लास ट्राइब जेंडर्स सो एबे भी
मैम आपण 4 टाइप ऑफ ट्राइब कहिदिले जो ट्राइब 4 टाइप ऑफ सेटा टिका उतर कोन
ट्राइब टे एक्चुअली 4 टाइप ऑफ ट्राइब नाही माने बहुत सारे मेजर माने ଜଣେ ପ୍ରଫେସର ତାକୁ କହିଥିଲେ ସେଇ ଜିନିଷଟାକୁ ଡେସ୍କ୍ରାଇବ୍ କରିଥିଲେ, କିନ୍ତୁ ଯଦି ଆପଣ ଏବେ ଲିଷ୍ଟ ଚେକ୍ କରିବେ କି ଓଡ଼ିଶାରେ କେତେ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଟ୍ରାଇବ୍ ଲୋକ ଅଛନ୍ତି, ଆମ ଟୋଟାଲ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆରେ କେତେ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଲୋକ ଟ୍ରାଇବ୍ ଅଛନ୍ତି, ସ୍ପେସିଆଲି କୋଉ ଜାଗାରେ ଆମର ଟ୍ରାଇବାଲ ଲୋକମାନେ ରହୁଛନ୍ତି। ତ ଟ୍ରାଇବ୍ର ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ ଆପଣ ଯଦି ଦେଖିବେ 32ରୁ ଆଭଭ୍ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ ଅଛନ୍ତି କେବଳ ଓଡ଼ିଶାରେ, 38 ସମଥିଙ୍ଗ ଆଭଭ୍ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ ଅଛନ୍ତି ଆମର କେବଳ ଓଡ଼ିଶାରେ। ଆଉ ଯଦି ଆପଣ ଯଦି ଲିଷ୍ଟ ଚେକ୍ କରିବେ ଟୋଟାଲ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆରେ, ତ ଆପଣ ବହୁତ ଗ୍ରୁପର ଲୋକମାନେ ଟ୍ରାଇବକୁ ଆପଣ ପାଇଯିବେ, ଏବଂ ସ୍ପେସିଆଲି ତାଙ୍କର ଗୋଟେ ଗୋଟେ ଜାଗା ଅଛି ଯେମିତି ଆସାମ, ମିଜୋରାମ, ଏଇସବୁ ଯୋଉ ଜାଗା ଗୁଡ଼ା ଅଛି, ନାଗାଲାଣ୍ଡ, ସେଇ ସବୁ ଜାଗାରେ ତାଙ୍କର ସଂଖ୍ୟାଟା ଆପଣ ଅଧିକ ପାଇବେ। ଆଉ ଓଡ଼ିଶା ଯଦି ଆମେ ଟ୍ରାଇବାଲ ଡୋମିନେଟେଡ ବେଲ୍ଟ ପଚାରିବା ଓଡ଼ିଶାର, ସେଟା ହଉଛି ଗୋଟେ ସୁନ୍ଦରଗଡ଼, ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ହଉଛି ଆମର କୋରାପୁଟ, ଯୋଉଥିରେ କି 50%ରୁ ଅଧିକ ଲୋକ ଟ୍ରାଇବାଲ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଲୋକମାନେ ରହୁଛନ୍ତି। ଆଉ
ମ୍ୟାମ୍
କିଛି
ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ
ଆଉ
ୟୁ ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
ୟେସ୍
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
କୁହନ୍ତୁ, ଆଉ ହଁ କୁହନ୍ତୁ।
ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆରେ ଯାହା ମାନେ ସେଗ୍ରିଗେସନ କରାହେଇଛି, ଶିଡ୍ୟୁଲ୍ଡ କାଷ୍ଟ, ଶିଡ୍ୟୁଲ୍ଡ ଟ୍ରାଇବ, ଓବିସି, ଜେନେରାଲ, ଏ ସବୁ କ୍ଲାସ ରିଗାର୍ଡିଂ ନା କାଷ୍ଟ ରିଗାର୍ଡିଂ କରାହେଇଛି?
ନା ଏଇଟା ଯୋଉଟା ଆମର କରାହେଇଛି ସେଇଟା ଆମର ଇଏରେ ଯିବ ନା, ଆମର ମାନେ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଯେତେବେଳେ ବି ରିଜର୍ଭେସନ୍ସ ରହୁଛି ସେଟା ଆପଣଙ୍କ କାଷ୍ଟକୁ ନେଇକି ରିଜର୍ଭେସନ୍ସଟା ରହୁଛି, କି ଆପଣଙ୍କର କୋଉ କାଷ୍ଟରୁ ଆପଣ ବିଲଙ୍ଗସ୍ କରୁଛି, ଆପଣ ଜେନେରାଲରୁ ବିଲଙ୍ଗସ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି କି ଏସସି, ଏସଟି କି ଓବିସି, କାଷ୍ଟ ଡିଷ୍ଟିଂସନ୍ସକୁ ନେଇକି ସେଟା କରାଯାଉଛି। ଏବଂ
ମ୍ୟାଡାମ ଯଦି ଆମେ ଓବିସି ଦେଖିବା, ଏଇଟା ଅଦର ବ୍ୟାକୱାର୍ଡ କ୍ଲାसेସ୍।
ଅଦର ବ୍ୟାକୱାର୍ଡ କ୍ଲାसेସ୍, ୟେସ୍।
ହଁ, ତ ଏଇଟା ତ କ୍ଲାସ ସେଗ୍ରିଗେସନ ହେଇଗଲା ନା, ମାନେ ତା ଫୁଲ ଫର୍ମ ରେ ହିଁ କ୍ଲାସ ଆମର ଆସୁଛି।
ଆପଣ ନାଇଁ ଅଦର ବ୍ୟାକୱାର୍ଡ କ୍ଲାसेସ୍, ସେଟା ଆପଣ କ୍ଲାସ ଯୋଉ ସେଠି ଲେଖା ହେଇଛି ବୋଲିକି ଆପଣ ତାକୁ କ୍ଲାସ ଇଏରେ ଇନକ୍ଲୁଡ କରିପାରିବେନି, କାହିଁକି ନା କାଷ୍ଟଟାକୁ ଆମର କଣ କରାଯାଇଛି, ଯେମିତିକି କାଷ୍ଟଟା ଆଗେ କଣ ଥିଲା କି 4ଟା ଗ୍ରୁପରେ ଡିଭାଇଡ କରୁଥିଲେ କାଷ୍ଟଟାକୁ, ଏମିତି ଦେଖାଯାଉଥିଲା, କିନ୍ତୁ ଏବେ ଆମେ କାଷ୍ଟଟାକୁ ଦେଖିବାକୁ ଗଲେ କାଷ୍ଟଟାକୁ ଗୋଟେ ଜେନେରାଲ ଗ୍ରୁପ କରାହଉଛି, ଗୋଟେ ଓବିସି ଗ୍ରୁପ କରାହଉଛି, ଯୋଉଟା କି ଅଲ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ ଓବିସିର ପୁଣି 2ଟା ଗ୍ରୁପ ଅଛି। ଆପଣ ସେଟା କ୍ଲାସ ଯୋଉ ଆପଣ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ଅଦର ବ୍ୟାକୱାର୍ଡ କ୍ଲାସ ଯୋଉ ଆପଣ କହୁଛନ୍ତି, ସେଟା ପୁଣି 2ଟା ଗ୍ରୁପରେ ଅଛି, ଗୋଟେ ହଉଛି କ୍ରିମିଲେୟର, ଗୋଟେ ହଉଛି ନନ୍ କ୍ରିମିଲେୟର। ତ ଏଗୁଡ଼ା ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଯେତେବେଳେ କୋଉଠି ଆପଣ ମେ ବି ଫର୍ମ ପକେଇଥିବେ ଦେଖିବେ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଲେଖା ହେଇଥିବ କାଷ୍ଟ, କୋଉ କାଷ୍ଟରୁ ଆପଣ ବିଲଙ୍ଗସ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ସେଟା ଆପଣ ଥାଏ ନା, ଯେମିତି ଜେଣ୍ଡର ଥାଏ ସେଠି କାଷ୍ଟ ଥାଏ, କୋଉ କାଷ୍ଟର ଜେଣ୍ଡର ଇଏ, ତ ସେଇଟାକୁ ସେଇ ୱେରେ ତାକୁ ଡିଫାଇନ୍ କରାଯାଇଛି। ଆପଣ ଯଦି କନଷ୍ଟିଟ୍ୟୁସନ୍ସର ଆମର ନର୍ମସ୍ ଗୁଡ଼ା ଦେଖିବେ, ପଢିବେ, ସେଠି ବି କ୍ଲିୟରଲି ସେଟା ମେନସନ କରାଯାଇଛି।
ଓକେ, ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
ଆଉ କାହାରି କିଛି ଡାଉଟ୍ସ? ଆଚ୍ଛା, ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ କଥା କି ଆମର ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ କ୍ଲାସରୁ ଯୋଉଟା ବି ଆମର କିଛି ଜଣ ମିସ୍ କରିଯାଇଛନ୍ତି ସେ କ୍ଲାसेସ୍ ଗୁଡ଼ା, ତାଙ୍କ ପାଖରେ ପ୍ରପରଲି ମେଲ୍ ପହଞ୍ଚି ପାରିନି, ସେଥିପାଇଁ ସେମାନଙ୍କର କିଛି କ୍ଲାसेସ୍ ମିସ୍ ହେଇଯାଇଛି। ତ ଆପଣ ଟିକେ ସିଲାବସକୁ ଚେକ୍ କରିନେବେ, ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ କ୍ଲାसेସ୍ ଗୁଡ଼ା ଯୋଉଗୁଡ଼ା ଥିଲା, ଯେମିତିକି ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ବ୍ଲକ 1ରେ ଥିଲା ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଲିବରାଲିଜିମ୍, ମାର୍କ୍ସିଜିମ୍ ଆଉ ଗାନ୍ଧିଜିମ୍, ଦେନ୍ ସେକେଣ୍ଡଟାରେ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଥିଲା ଲେଜିସ୍ଲେଚର, ଏକ୍ଜିକ୍ୟୁଟିଭ ଆଣ୍ଡ ଜୁଡିସିଆରୀ, ତାପରେ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେରେ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଥିଲା କି ସାଇଲେଣ୍ଟ ଫିଚର୍ସ ଅଫ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ୍ କନଷ୍ଟିଟ୍ୟୁସନ୍ସ, ଫଣ୍ଡାମେଣ୍ଟାଲ ରାଇଟ୍ସ, ପ୍ରିନ୍ସିପଲ ଅଫ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ପଲିସି, ଫଣ୍ଡାମେଣ୍ଟାଲ ଡ୍ୟୁଟିଜ। ତ ଏତିକି କ୍ଲାसेସରେ ପଢା ହେଇଛି। ତ ଲାଷ୍ଟ କ୍ଲାसेସ୍ ଆମର ଯୋଉଟା ରହିବ ଟ୍ୟୁଜଡେ କ୍ଲାसेସଟା, ତ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଯାହା ବି ଡାଉଟ୍ ସେଥିରେ ଅଛି ଟିକେ ଆପଣ ଦେଖି ଆସିଥିବେ, ଆପଣ ସେଇ କ୍ଲାସରେ ଡାଉଟ୍ସ ମଧ୍ୟ ପଚାରି ପାରିବେ। Okay, ଠିକ ଅଛି, that's all about from today's classes. Thank you.